Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. Today we're talking about college football week 10, the epic weekend it was, the top 5 getting shaken up, the middle of the pack showing who's really who, and everything else in between. I, of course, am the Sharps Sharp, the Brofect1 AJ. Joining me as always is the man with the numbers, the sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru. All hail the king of the links, the Money Train, Noah. Noah, how the hell you doing, bub?
Well, it was a little bit of a rough weekend, AJ, but college basketball starts tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to greener pastures.
Noah,
there's
120 games tomorrow, and I'm trying to bet on at least 80 of them. But it was a rough weekend. If you pick some good spots for some good underdogs, I mean, like the family. Like, shout out to family and LSU. We'll get into that in a little bit. Family. I love this family down here in Louisiana at LSU. Goddamn, we're a good football team. Shout out LSU beating Bama, dethroning them in what was, honest to God, a classic. I mean, that was a classic football game. Back and forth, taking the lead, not taking the lead, and then going for two on your first touchdown in overtime. I mean, Noah, when I saw that play call, I was on my feet. I was ready to go. And that was the first time, I think, in a long time that I was, like, holding my breath on a bet. And I was like, oh, holy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little help from the refs to get them to that point. But,
okay.
That's neither here nor there. Wow.
Listen, and let's talk about that Bama LSU game a little bit, and then we'll get into the top 5 and the crazy shit that's happened. But, I mean, yes, there were some questionable calls, but it just continued the trend. You know what I mean? The trend of Bama not being the best on the road this season, struggling on the road. Like I said when we did our bets, they struggled at Texas. They struggled at Tennessee. They're going into Death Valley, one of the hardest places to play in college football, and you and I can both agree on that. And, yeah, they're not going to have a good time. They're just not going to have a good time, and they did it. And Nick Saban was beside himself. What?
Yeah, I would say the hardest road environment in college.
Oh, God. It's impossible to play there. And the crowd was rambunctious, especially in overtime. I don't know how Alabama got a hard count out. But, I mean, listen, this Bama team is still good. But I think the rankings are starting to reflect, and everyone is starting to see that this isn't same old Bama. It's not. The NIL is really, I believe, changed the landscape at this point. I feel like it's a lot more even, and I feel like Bama is kind of like any other top 5 college team. Any given weekend, if everything aligns, you're going to get beaten by a team, you know? I'm not even going to say LSU is better than Bama. I'm not saying that by any means, but I just mean if they're playing their A game and you happen to be on your B game, that A game is suddenly an A+ game for them. You know, that talent level is a little bit more distributed. And I think NIL, shout out, is part of the reason we're getting some better college football.
Yeah, the craziest thing for me, though, is like Bryce Young could very well be the best quarterback Alabama has ever seen.
Absolutely. No, Bryce Young is... Hold on.
And it just goes to like speak measures about how like the rest of the talent on this team is not up to par with what a normal Alabama team is.
Yeah.
Because Bryce Young is better than so many quarterbacks that have come before him in Alabama that have won national championships, made it to national championships, won SEC championships. And Bryce Young is better than like all of them. Yet this team isn't quite as good. The defense isn't quite as good. The team around Bryce Young on the offense, not quite as good. But, we're looking at, people talking about the Heisman and talking about Bo Nix maybe being the favorite now for the Heisman, which absolutely disgusts me because if you're going based on talent and play, Bryce Young still deserves to be the Heisman frontrunner in my mind.
No, absolutely. And I am shocked to hear that you haven't said the name Bo Nix and Heisman in the same sentence. I mean, we'll get into the rankings in just a moment, but Oregon is not a good football team. They might be one of the better teams in the Pac-12, but that's like being a great Pee-wee team and then you're playing against a high school team. Like, it just doesn't work out, bro. And so if they really want to fuck around and deal with Oregon in the top 6, top 5, they can go ahead and play with that, but it's just going to be disappointing disappointing and sad football, because that's what Oregon knows how to do. Sad football. That's what the Pac-12 is, bro.
Well, Oregon should, I believe, cakewalk themselves into the Pac-12 championship.
Yes, at this point.
With Oregon State losing to Washington on Friday night, I do have a bone to pick with that one. Obviously, an extended power outage happening at Husky Stadium.
Oh, come on. That couldn't have been planned, Noah. Not like Stetson Bennett's phone number getting leaked.
I think it was intentional. Oregon State having all the momentum in that game, and then all of a sudden the power goes out for 45 minutes, and then Washington comes back and wins. I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but it's a little fishy. Something's a little fishy there.
What's fishier, that or when the Super Bowl power went out?
That also changed the complete momentum of the game. And so here's the thing. The power outage, obviously not planned. It just happened to be a thing, and it completely shifted the momentum of the game. I'm not going to lie about it shifting the momentum of the game. Obviously not intentional, but
hey,
you know,
happens, you question it.
If you're Oregon State, you have a reason to be pissed off about that. I mean, it's kind of bullshit. Like, you're cruising through the game, and then all of a sudden the power goes out. You go cold, and then...
Yeah, shit happens. But Noah...
I was going to look up Oregon's schedule for the rest of the year.
Well, while you do that, Noah, let's get into the new top 6 that is for the AP Power Rankings. Again, these rankings don't really matter, but they're out first, and so we're going to cover them. And Oregon's sitting there at number 6, Noah, at 8-1. They're sitting there at 6. Tennessee at 5 after that brutal loss. TCU at 4. Top 3, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. I mean, what do you have Oregon schedule up? I mean, what are they looking at? Because they've got to have a cakewalk the rest of the year.
No, because they play Utah.
Ooh, so. Okay. They got Utah, so we might be looking at a 2-loss Oregon team. Excuse me. So that would eliminate them from the playoffs, essentially.
Yep. And if Oregon State wins the rest of their games and Oregon loses to Utah, Oregon State can still win the Pac-12 North. But basically, the Pac-12 North is between Oregon and Oregon State at this point. One team out of the state of Oregon going to be making that.
Shout out to Oregon. Don't do that.
Playing somebody from the Pac-12 South. And depending on tiebreakers, it'll either be Utah, UCLA, or USC.
Whew.
It entirely deserves to be Utah. Because if you've watched USC and UCLA play... Neither of them have a fucking defense. They play like shit. They just happen to win these games again. They beat shitty teams by 10 points. And I'm like, okay, my whole thing is, how are you still ranked in the top 10 when you routinely play shit teams and beat them 50-40? That's not pretty. That's not good. Like, and UCLA and USC both do the same thing. I'm going to come on here and say hot take. I think Arizona, coming off their worst performance of the year against Utah, I think they bounce back, and I think they beat UCLA next week.
I could see that. I could. I need to look at the numbers, and I need to crunch some stuff. But the fact that
SC, USC, they played Cal this weekend and beat them by a touchdown.
Don't get me wrong. I think USC needs another year. Let me know when the ticket comes out for 2023 or 2024 national championship, and I'll take my USC bet right then and there. But Noah, we'll get to the Pac-12 and a little bit more of them later when we get down the list. Let's dig deeper into this top 5. I want to say thank you. Finally, TCU is getting at least a hair of the recognition they deserve. They are a 9-0 team that was 8-0 going into the weekend with nothing but dominant performances. Granted, they only beat Texas Tech by 10 points in what was a very competitive game. Texas Tech did not go away easy. All right, not even a little bit. But TCU out of the Big 12 has been coming in and just putting these slobber knockers together, and they have been performing. TCU deserves to be in the top 4. If they are not in the top 4 this Tuesday, I will be flabbergasted and will absolutely be nothing but brand bias. Because after this performance this weekend, Tennessee doesn't deserve to be in the top 4. Alabama sure as hell doesn't deserve to be in the top 4. I would maybe entertain a conversation of LSU being in the top 6. But give me TCU. They should probably be above Michigan just due to their schedule. But that's another conversation. I think Georgia at 1 is very appropriate. This team didn't go away. They did not get worse after all their losses in the draft last year. They stayed the same. Ohio State coming out. I wasn't thrilled with their performance this weekend, but given the weather conditions, I'll take what I can get in a 21-7 win at Northwestern in just absolutely shitty conditions. But hey, Georgia looking damn good to go on another run and fuck around and win another title. Or am I just out of my mind, Noah? Am I out of my mind?
No, Georgia looks better than every other team in the country.
Yeah. Oh, they look damn good.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I guess there's an outside chance we see both Ohio State and Michigan in the playoff. Actually, after this past weekend,
there's a good chance.
It looks like a coin flip to me, where we might see 2 Big Ten teams for the first time ever in the college football playoff. But the door is back open a little bit for the Pac-12 now after everything that happened this past week. We may see a Pac-12 team be able to force their way in. Oregon, the most likely, but I don't like that because I don't think Oregon wins the rest of their games this season. I don't think they're going to do it.
Especially since Bo Nix probably has to play on the road again, right?
Yeah, USC's a joke. If they somehow make it in, like USC's given up 50 plus points to any of those teams that are going to make it into the playoff.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's going to be ugly. Like
absolutely.
They're going to put up 30 or 40 themselves. Their offense is really good, but their defense kind of fucking sucks. So,
yeah. And again, I agree with you. I think USC's offense is definitely the highlight of their team. But like you said, any of those teams in the top 6 would blow the doors off of them. Absolutely blow them off.
Right. I'm just
saying that offense couldn't keep up.
When you routinely give up 30 plus points to Pac-12 teams that are under 500, you're not going to be able to hang with teams in the top 5.
No, it just doesn't happen. You just can't. It just doesn't happen, unfortunately. But no, I mean...
So we'll see. I think it's a coin flip at this point, AJ.
But
we'll see what happens by the end of the year. But I think it's a coin flip whether we get a Georgia and Tennessee both in, or depending on what happens in the SEC, we might see Ohio State and Michigan both in. I do think Michigan gets the brakes blown off them in the playoff again if they make it in.
Absolutely.
For a second straight year. But
they're definitely the worst of the 4 teams in the top 4 of the AP poll. Give me TCU any day over Michigan. Any day of the week.
Michigan was losing at halftime to Rutgers.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
I mean, granted, they came back and covered a 20-something point spread. So, like,
lots to be said there, but
Michigan's just tough for me because they play really good football at times, but for me, they haven't shown that they can play a full, complete game this year.
No.
Like, they have these dominant halves, which are enough to win games, but they haven't put together a full 60 minutes to, like, really prove, like, oh, yeah, we are that good. We are that team, and I don't have faith in them being able to hold together an entire game against an elite opponent.
No, not at all. They can't. They can't hang. They can't hang. And that's why I think TCU should be ranked above them, because just of strength of schedule. But again, we'll see what college football playoff committee, that brain trust of fucking geniuses, and see what they do. Because they really are just a bunch of geniuses that sit there and talk about college football all day. It's not like you and I sitting here talking about college football. Obviously know it, because they're a part of a committee, so they obviously know more. Obviously. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they have an easy job whatsoever. I'm just saying, obviously no schmo with access to YouTube could put together a top 4, God, that's crazy. But no, I mean, I think we can finally, and this brings me so much joy. No, I don't think you understand how long I've been waiting for this all football season. But we can officially declare Alabama will not be partaking in the college football playoffs this season.
Well, Well,
what? Well, what?
They shouldn't.
They won't. They can't. There is no excuse to put Bama. I mean, on the AP poll, they have them at 10. And even I think that's a little fucking high. College Football Playoff Committee cannot come in here. That brain trust of geniuses cannot come in here and put Bama in the top 4.
AJ, put yourself in the shoes of the committee. Not the shoes.
They're in there.
But
I'm locked in.
Put yourself in the mindset of the committee. Bama finishes the season 10-2. LSU loses another game along the road. So Bama wins the SEC West.
Fine.
They go to the SEC Championship with 2 losses. One to a very good LSU team, one to a very good Tennessee team.
Fine.
And say, hypothetically, they beat the brakes off of Georgia in the SEC Championship game.
Won't happen, but sure, hypothetically.
And I'm not saying where would you put them. I'm saying if you put yourself in the mindset of the committee's like, oh, well, Bama won the SEC. Because I do think the committee thinks whoever wins the SEC is an automatic bid. And I do think that's very much the mindset we're in. So I'm not saying it's game over for a 2-loss Alabama team. The same way it's not over for a 2-loss LSU team, because LSU could do the same thing. LSU wins the rest of their games. They have the tiebreaker over Bama, and LSU beats Georgia. LSU's in. Am I wrong?
No, you're
Just
not wrong.
Just the way the committee works. So LSU and Bama could still both be in. It's a lot tougher for Bama because they do need LSU to lose another game at this point. But both teams, I'm just saying, if LSU loses another game, Bama at 10-2 goes to the SEC championship game and beats Georgia. Bama's in. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying you agree with the decision. I'm just saying Bama's in. Am I wrong?
No, let me tell you.
The committee pushes them in if that happens.
No, they don't. And let me tell you why they don't. Okay, because first, they probably will. Okay, they probably will. Let me tell you why they shouldn't. Okay, because college football fans.
My hypothetical wasn't a should or shouldn't. It was just like they will or they won't. And so you agree that they will.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I'm firm on the fact that I don't think they will, for the sole reason that college football fans in general, as long as they're not from that shit town in Alabama, okay, they're done with Bama. All right, Bama is the Patriots of college football. They have been for a long time. We're done with them. And so if they have the opportunity to put a team, like if they have an opportunity to have a Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, or even throw a Tennessee in there over Michigan, throw an Oregon in there over Michigan, throw a UCLA in there over Michigan if we really fucking have to. But it's going to 12 teams for a reason. It's because people are tired of seeing Bama and all of the SEC teams in there. And the College Football Playoff Committee wants to keep their job. They want to make sure the College Football Playoff Committee stays a thing. And so I really think that if they're faced with the choice of putting a 2-loss Bama team in there over, let's say, a 1-loss Oregon, I guess. Fuck. Then I think they should put Oregon in there. Will Oregon get the brakes broken off? Yes, absolutely. But for just pure optics, to keep your jobs for a couple more years, I think the College Football Committee will do whatever they can to keep Alabama out of the playoffs. And I think that's why we saw some of the calls. I think that's why we saw some of the calls in the game. Because I was betting against Bama all fucking day. But even some of those calls, I was like, I don't know, that seems like a homer call.
I've said it many times. I hate blaming the refs. I hate putting anything on the refs. I'm not blaming the refs.
That's not what we do on the show.
I'm not blaming the refs. Alabama obviously could have put themselves in a better position to win that game without the refs, but there were some bad calls in that game.
Very bad calls.
And here's where my whole blaming the refs thing comes. I'm not going to blame the game on calls the refs made.
No.
But I will acknowledge that there were some really bad calls that definitely assisted LSU in winning that game down the stretch.
Yes, no, absolutely. And no one, and I don't think anyone would argue with that. But It's that hometown bias, I guess. Just that hometown bias.
Family.
Family. Shout out to family. Family for saving my Saturday. Noah, let's move down the rest of the list. We'll just kind of do it in big chunks because we got to wait for the college football playoffs. We got to wait for that committee to come out with their top 25. Going from 7 down to 15, you got LSU, USC, UCLA, Alabama, Ole Miss, Clemson, who's fake as fuck, like I've been saying, Utah, Penn State, and North Carolina. Clemson took a rough loss this weekend, and that's the loss I've been waiting for as a person who has been against Clemson being in the top 5 all season. They finally got exposed. It was a matter of time before a game like this came up. I thought it might have to wait until the college football playoffs for it to knock off, but it ended up being here. I'm just glad I'm done with done with Clemson. I'm done. I'm glad we're done with them. Awesome. I'll still probably take them 2 more times this season, but we're done with them.
The funny thing about that range of teams, I know we've kind of covered all 3 of them already, so I won't talk about it too much, but I think Bama blows the brakes off of both USC and UCLA, which is funny that they're behind them.
Yeah.
But that's all I need to say about that is I think Bama blows the brakes off of USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
Yet they're ranked behind them because, they lost to Tennessee and they lost to LSU, God forbid.
God forbid.
Yeah, they lost to 2 top 7 teams, but, by a combined margin of 4 points. Ole Miss, I feel like, has had about as easy of a schedule as you can get in the SEC, yet they still get that SEC favoritism, despite the fact that they haven't really played anyone.
No, and they only beat Texas A&M 31-28. It wasn't like it was a good win.
Yeah, Clemson taking a massive drop, losing to Notre Dame.
As they should.
Rightfully so. I still think Clemson's a really good football program. I never thought they were college football playoff worthy, talent or skill wise, or as good as the team is. I just thought they were going to make it because I didn't think they were going to lose another game with how easy their schedule was. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Penn State moving up a couple. Whatever.
Yep, Utah, AJ, I've said it from the beginning of the season. I've never wavered on it once, a single week this year. I still think they win the Pac-12.
I know.
You got a decent Penn State team, but they're they're not making enough waves to do anything crazy.
No, and I think unfortunately, I think they're gonna be the same thing next year. Unless they get some big signing or something, I don't see this Penn State team. Yeah, they're just a solid team. They'll win the games they're supposed to. They're going to lose some close ones, but they're a good team overall. Will they break the top 10? Maybe, but not guaranteed.
Hey, next team on the list, though, I do have to talk about.
Love that.
Because have I not been talking about North Carolina for 4 or 5 weeks?
You've been talking about them for a while. You've been talking about them for a minute.
How they're good and they're legit and people should be paying attention to them. And they've been underranked every single rankings since they've popped back into the rankings. Makes no sense to me. Their quarterback, Drake May, I think he is the ultimate sleeper for Heisman.
A sleeper, and I think he's a sleeper for the first round as well.
Do not fucking sleep. Drake May still massive plus odds for Heisman. If North Carolina wins out the rest of their season, they beat Clemson or whoever else in the ACC championship. If you've got a 12-1 North Carolina team, I think they just miss the college football playoff. I don't think they get put into the playoff. But they're playing a real nice bowl game. They're going to be a top 10 ranked team. And Drake May has been the best quarterback in college football this year.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Stat-wise, I do think Bryce Young is better than him. But Drake May does not get talked about. it's all Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Jalen Daniels getting some talk now. Jalen or Jaden, whichever one transferred from ASU to LSU.
One of them, yeah.
One's Jaden, one's Jalen. I don't really remember entirely. I get them confused. Will Levis at Kentucky, obviously a really good quarterback. But you know who doesn't get fucking talked about is the quarterback who's maybe putting up the best statistical year out of all of them, and that is Drake May at North Carolina.
Yeah. No, and Drake, and he's been one of those quarterbacks that's been so fun to watch. Just so fun to watch. And he is, and honest to God, I'll put it out there right now. He should win the Heisman. You know why? He should win the Heisman because North Carolina would not have the record they have right now if it wasn't for him.
I think he's got like a 28-3 touchdown to interception ratio
Jesus
so far this season.
Christ.
Something like that, yeah.
That's insane. What a dog. What a dog. Noah, let's move towards the bottom of the list. Going in the chunks again. 16-25. You got Tulane sneaking in there. North Carolina at 17. Texas at 18. Liberty at 19. Notre Dame 20. Illinois 21. Unbelievable. USCF at 22. K-State 23. Washington 24. And Florida State sliding in there 25.
The who cares portion of the list.
Yeah, and it's sadly is at that point. It's that at this point because we're in playoff time. I mean, it's playoff time. We're going to talk about playoff stuff, and none of these teams have a shot in hell in making it.
I do have to say, if I were an alumni or a fan of the University of Illinois, and I know a lot of people are this way, and I just want to validate you guys and say you have the right to be absolutely pissed off.
Yes.
You're 7-2 on the season, which is way better than you thought you would be doing.
Should be 7-1, 8-1.
And your two losses have both been stolen away by the shitty calling by the refs and all that. And Illinois should be 9-0. And I don't even like Illinois. So you know I'm not biased when I'm saying this, that Illinois should be 9-0 on the season. And they have gotten fucked out of 2 games by the refs now. So I just want to say to all Illinois fans out there, my condolences with you. I'm probably going to start talking shit about you once basketball season starts.
Yeah.
I hate you guys as fans when you come to basketball, but I feel for you when it comes to football here. You should be 9-0.
Should be.
I will admit that.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Illinois should be 9-0 and in the top 10 right now. Yeah, they got fucked out of 2 wins by the refs.
Yeah, they did. It happens.
Tough sledding.
Yeah, but hey, there's always next season, right? Got to get ready for next season now, as a lot of teams are, because the only the top 4 matters. We're probably going to start to see a lot of players drop out, say they're not healthy, so they can get ready for the draft, the combine. Got bowl season coming up for all that too. Fun stuff.
Well, there you go. Illinois, yeah, they probably weren't going to be in the top 4 anyways to make the playoff.
No.
But
let's not give them false hope.
But they have been screwed out of 2 wins, and they should be 9-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want that on the record. I think Illinois should be 9-0 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to shout out Kansas, the Jayhawks. They did receive 10 votes to be in the top 25. Big win this weekend. I mean,
big win.
Big win.
Backup quarterback, too.
Backup quarterback, big win.
Yeah, backup quarterback going off. Big win over Oklahoma State. Texas. Nope, that's Kansas State. Oklahoma State.
There you go.
I was right the first time. Big 12 gauntlet. Fun little gauntlet there. Big 12 is a fun conference. I can't wait till Arizona's playing it in 2 years. So.
Especially our basketball. Our basketball season is going to be so much better.
It's going to be the best basketball conference in the entire country.
Oh, 100%. Holy shit. Big 12 is going to be stacked.
Yeah. Once we make the potentially the Arizona State, Colorado, Utah move over to the Pac-12.
Big 12.
I'd be okay with leaving Big 12, right? I'd be okay with leaving Arizona State and Colorado behind. But,
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah. But hey, college basketball starts tomorrow. That's why you got to follow Noah on Twitter at Engel Money Train. Excuse me. Link in the description down below. He's already got.
I got 15 picks for you for day one of college basketball.
And
15.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful picks too. Oh my God, we're gonna make so much money tomorrow. We're gonna make so much money. I would also like to shout out Joey Logano, NASCAR driver. I just hit my future on him to win the championship. So shout out to him. But yeah, college basketball starting. So you're telling me I can parlay the Monday night game with some college basketball tomorrow? No, it's game over. I mean, we're about to take all the money, the sportsbook money, like all of it. Like I'm about to quit my day job because we're doing this so well.
Hey, it's first week or two of college basketball. My biggest thing though, do not be afraid to take those large ass spreads.
Take them.
You get ranked teams against
unranked
small ass schools,
mid majors. Give me the 30.
Take those. Just do yourself a favor. Take those large ass spreads. The spreads should be higher, but they're not because people get cold feet.
Yes.
Just don't be afraid to lay those high spreads. This is only like a 2-week thing.
2 week spread. Yeah, you got 2 weeks.
But it's every year. The first 2 to 3 weeks, you can just lay those high ass spreads on, because you're getting 25 points in a game that should be 35 or 40 point spread. So.
No, absolutely. It's a beautiful time of the year, Noah. Oh, we're gonna make so much money.
This is my money making season. AJ.
It is, and we're about to get our systems out. And once we get football slowing down a little bit, we can cover it a little bit more. Oh, it's beautiful. But Noah, college football, we'll talk about it again on Tuesday when college football playoff committee, really, that brain trust of fucking genius. Just brilliant people there putting together these lists. Once they put it out, we'll obviously cover it because we couldn't do any better. We gotta rely on these quote unquote experts for all of that. No shade, obviously, just my opinion. But no, you got anything else to say about college football and the insane weekend that was Week 10?
Bro, the fucking NFL's weird as shit this year.
Dude, don't even get me started. How are we about to go into... We're recording this during the Sunday night game, and we're about to go into goddamn overtime.
Nah, Malik Willis somehow going to find a way.
Malik Willis ain't finding a way in 35 seconds. There's no shot. But anyway, I've been the Brofect1. That's the Money Train. Please, like, share, subscribe to the channel. You got to do it. You've been listening this long. Please, like, share, subscribe. Help us quit the day job so we can do this full time. Also, follow us on the Twitter, the Instagram, everything. Check out our merch store in the link tree down below. And, yeah, we cover this stuff. So you got to stay tuned. We'll be back the next time. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I've been the Brofect1. That's the Money Train. We'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.